FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, the locally owned Good Karma brand station. You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth and the Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
And if your neighbor commits a homicide and kills people up, if you kill people and they next to you and you just let them come back and live right next to you, they can live upstairs from you. Let them come in your house.
Frank, candid, and straight to the point. This is the best radio show in the state of Wisconsin. Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth and the Truth app.
Now, he's the mayor of the city of Milwaukee. He's a young man. Give him a chance. I only complain about things that I care about. What I want you to do is pretend like I'm in St. Louis. And all I'm asking the mayor and the common council president and the common council, show me.
Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is Dr. Ken Harris.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number. Remember, you can stream and watch us live on YouTube and at 1017thetruth.com. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a minute of a live show. You can also listen live and win special Truth giveaways by downloading the 1017 The Truth app in the App Store if you got Apple, or the Google Play Store if you got everything else. And if you just missed the show altogether, you can listen anytime on 1017 The Truth, Apple Podcasts, or mine and evidently Sherwin's favorite, Spotify. That is, he was right this morning. The best money I ever spent was Spotify. And YouTube. Always go back and check us out on YouTube. I want to say good evening. Let me see. I'm taking attendance for Study Hall. Kwanda's here. Sincere Ronnie Ray Real, how you doing this evening? Along with Babar. How's it going? So it's been an interesting day. It's been raining all day, and I'm tired of rain. There's breaking news out of Kenosha. Police arrest a man accused of stabbing his wife to death. So he's in custody. We'll talk about that in the top 5 at 5. Kwanda, today is Black Book Thursday. So we're going to be talking about all sorts of things today and going through all sorts of things today. I think it'll be a great show. Of course, I'll do my top 5 at 5, and I'll break in and do some things as it relates to, anything breaking in the news, any updates on Artemis 2 or, shootings or weather. Of course, we'll be doing weather pretty much on a regular basis. It's raining and it's going on, and so we're going to keep up with that. I've got local news. I've got BBC. I've got MS Now, CNN and Fox News and WISN 12. So if anything happens during the next 2 hours, you can keep it locked right here on 1017 The Truth. I'm broadcasting live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue. And I want to share something with you that usually I talk about things that make people uncomfortable. And I do it because it makes me uncomfortable too. And the more you talk about things that make you uncomfortable, the more you're able to understand it. So if it does, that probably means it probably needs to be said. And I can drop probably. It needed to be said. We're living in a time where information is everywhere. But we also know truth is optional. That's why we're here. Everybody's got access to history, but nobody is committed to actually understanding it. We celebrate Black History Month every year, and we talk about it, ask questions every year. People should study. We give away a gift every year, a truth. I always get depressed when I say that because I don't have one. You get a little truth swag bag and all that stuff. But you got to understand it. When it comes to history, Black history in this country, United States of America, the gap between access and understanding for Black people is dangerous. Because if you don't read, and if you don't read Black history, you will repeat what somebody told you about it. We all know what getting rid of statues and Confederate flags and changing names of Army bases Army forts, Marine bases. I'm trying to remember all the names. Air Force Base, all that. All right? If you don't know it, you'll misinterpret what you're seeing today. If you don't share it, we'll have what the Trump administration is doing. They'll rewrite it. So let me be clear. History is already being rewritten as we live. Not always with malice. Sometimes it's just convenient. We'll just talk about that little thing called slavery, but it was there, but it was, it was a little glitch in history, and now it's over. Because we like comfort. That's why people walk around in house shoes. Sometimes such an exercise is done to help people feel better about what really happened, but truth doesn't exist to make you feel comfortable. I had to learn that. Truth exists to make you aware. Aware of what? Well, that's where your responsibility comes. We've reduced Black history to just moments. February, Martin Luther King getting killed, Medgar Evers getting killed, something this happened, that happened. We passed the Civil Rights Act. We throw up civil rights images and we make a documentary or two, and we're reflective. But Black history isn't a highlight reel. It's a continuous narrative that we are creating today. Those riots that are going on in all those 7 cities and around the world are being caused by someone, and we don't know what it is. They're creating the history for our grandchildren and for our children. It's a continuous narrative, and it doesn't start with slavery, and it didn't end with the Civil Rights Act. And if all you know is struggle, which is all we really talk about, and I get tired of it, and none of the origin, then you really don't understand the story. And that's the first problem. We've allowed ourselves to inherit a version of history that begins with pain instead of one that begins with what they were, people. Slaves were people. And when you start the history with pain, you subconsciously reduce people or us to that pain. But when you start with people, the language, the culture, the families, the systems of order, you begin to talk about something new. Humanity. You start to humanize. Those were people on those boats going through the Middle Passage. And humanity changes how you think. It changes how you teach Black history. It changes how you lead discussions about Black history. It changes how you vote. It changes how you treat other people, regardless of their race. And so here's the second problem. I don't know if I should say it, but we don't read enough. Actually, we don't read at all. And I'm not talking about scrolling headlines on TikTok or watching videos on IG. I'm not talking about those clips. I'm not talking about somebody summarizing something for you on social media. I'm talking about sitting down with a book in your hand or an audio book or some type of tablet where you can flip the page and engaging with material. That's what we're going to do today. Reading compels you to do what? Slow down. I like to read because it makes my brain, my ADHD brain, slow down. It forces you to think. It forces you to wrestle with information that doesn't always fit your worldview. And one of the books we're going to be talking about in the coming weeks is on the Coptic Church. But I digress. People don't want that. A lot of people don't want that. They want conclusion, but they don't want to know the process. That's why when you talk to some white people about black history, they turn their nose up and get all, well, you're making it now. Opinions without study. The problem is we don't study. So how can you argue somebody about history or something historical in our diaspora without understanding it? It's a conviction, but you don't have a foundation. You cannot build the truth on shortcuts. Hey, I know what we'll do. We'll do one segment of each show each day, 12 minutes. Let me see. So morning show will be 12 minutes. Sherwin will be 12 minutes. Kyle will be 12 minutes. Tori will be 12 minutes, and I'll be 12 minutes. 12 times 5 is 60. So we can cut 11 hours of programming, and we'll just give you 1 hour. Shortcuts. Shortcuts are dangerous. They erase detail. And detail is actually where the truth lies. Details about where people are from, how systems were built, details about decisions that shaped generations and made us who we are now. We're seeing it unravel today. Without details, you don't have history. I'm talking to a certain person. Without details, you don't have history. You have mythology. And mythology inspires you. Things that you can do, ideas, dreams you have, but it won't inform you. And if you're not informed, as you can see with social media, by putting out one flyer in 7 different places, you're easily influenced. Now let's talk about the third problem. I'm talking to those who are college graduates. Yes, I'm narrowing it down. When I say college graduates, I mean 2 years. At least a year in college. If you spend any time in college, I'm talking to you. We don't share what we learn. We consume information privately, and then we act like, oh, I got it, you don't, so I know more than you, I'm better than you. And we don't communicate it publicly. I was at a meeting the other day where somebody was talking about how they help people, and they help everybody from 4K, little kids, all the way to adults. And I'm like, well, you can't help everybody well. Nope, we help everybody. Well, how do you transfer that knowledge to people? If you don't share what you've had, it doesn't multiply. It just sits there with you. And stuff in your brain that doesn't come out is useless. It might change you, but it doesn't change the conversation. We need to change the conversation. We need to change the narrative about black kids, black young adults, and black elders. We need more people who can speak accurately about history, respond accurately, not emotionally, not reactively. People who can say, no, that's not what happened. This is what happened. People who can provide context when conversations are shallow. You know those conversations you've had. People who can elevate the discussion beyond talking points. Every time you listen to a Democrat, all you hear is they repeat the same thing over and over and over and over. Every time you listen to Republicans, they repeat the same thing over and over and over. Like they sent out talking points that morning. These are the talking points today. We're going to call this that and that this. A lot of the conversations about black history are really, really superficial. Black History Month is superficial. We get loud, but it ain't deep. And depth is what creates understanding. So here's where we bring it all together. Reading will give you access. So when you hear about libraries being closed, that's when you go protest. Knowing gives you clarity. So when you have a clear thought and you understand what it is you're saying, you speak it. But sharing gives you impact. Remember, when you're young, you've got time, but when you're older, you've got wisdom. If we can just get those two together. But you know what they say about black people, right? You want to hide something from them? Put it in the book. See, if you're missing any one of these, you're incomplete. You can read all day, but if there's no understanding, you just have a collection of words. You're just collecting words and putting them in your brain. But if you understand it and don't share it, you're limiting the reach. You could talk all day. We could be on radio all day, 11 hours a day. Throw it on the App Store or Google Play, and you can listen to it. But if you haven't read, you're just recycling noise. If I sit up and talk to you about something that I haven't read, it's just noise. And we got enough noise. What we need is what we have right here at 101.7 The Truth. Grounded, documented, human truth. The kind of truth that doesn't just tell you what happened, shows you who it happened to, and also tells you why it happened. The kind of truth that doesn't let you hide behind generalities, but forces you to confront specifics. That's why I ask the questions I ask. Where does that come from? What does that mean? What was your source? How do you know that? Stop using your experience and transferring it to other people, and then wonder why other people can't do what you do. Specifics make things real. And when things become real, they can't ignore it. After George Floyd, things became real. That's why certain books, the one we're going to talk about today, matter. Not because it's popular, not because it was assigned in a class, but because they preserved something that would have otherwise be lost. And that is what she found when she wrote this book. Voice. She found perspective. She recorded a memory. And when you find a book that captures these honestly, you don't just read it. If you haven't read this book we're going to talk about today, I say do it. Respect it. Learn from it. But the most important thing I want you to do is buy a copy, not to make money for her estate. Buy a copy and pass it on. Because somebody else is going to need to hear what you are going to learn. It's beneficial for someone else to gain the understanding that you're going to possess. Somebody else, not you, somebody else needs the same moment where history stops being distant and starts being real. And some of us avoid that. We don't want to know. We don't want to hear about the history, the chains, the hangings, the lynching. We don't want to hear about that. We just want to live in today. But once it becomes real, you don't look at the world the same ever again. And that's pretty much the goal. The truth is not here. We're not talking about Black Book Thursday to inform. We're here to transform. Not just to know, but to understand. Not just to understand, but to share. Because when truth moves, people move. When people move, things change. And perhaps the most important of this history is housed in this book we're going to talk about today. BARRACOON.
And that is Dr. Ken's Truth on the new 101.7 The Truth. You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth and the Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Truth Nation, it's that time again for the Tory Low Community Cleanup. Mark your calendars for Saturday, April 18th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. as we come together to clean up the city of Milwaukee. Be part of making a difference in our community. The Tory Low Community Cleanup, Saturday, April 18th, 8 to noon. Sponsored by Milwaukee College Prep, Steinhoffels, Cousin Subs, Waste Management, and presented by the Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewerage District, your clean water partner serving Greater Milwaukee for 100 years. This April, it's Financial Literacy Month on 1017 The Truth, powered by UW Credit Union. Financial literacy isn't just about money. It's about confidence and making smart decisions for your future. UW Credit Union is here to help with free tools, expert guidance, and resources. From budgeting tips to one-on-one financial coaching and self-guided lessons you can access anytime. Because they're not a bank, they're a partner in your financial journey. Learn more at uwcu.org.
I'm Sherwin Hughes, and I know the power of Stars and Stripes Honor Flight firsthand. As someone who's been on an honor flight, I can tell you it's a day you'll never forget. Stars and Stripes Honor Flight gives our oldest veterans who served in any location in June of 1975 or earlier a free one-day trip to Washington, D.C. for veterans. Airfare, meals, a coach bus tour, and special flight apparel are all included. It's a day of honor, gratitude, and camaraderie. Veterans who served in the Vietnam or Korean War go to flySSHF.org and ask for an application.
Discover your new favorite city, Milwaukee. Catch a sunrise over Lake Michigan. Sip your way through craft breweries. And dive into a dining scene that's turning heads. From museums and music to thrilling sports teams and buzzing nightlife, Milwaukee delivers all season long. Good things are always brewing on the Fresh Coast. The expert guides at visitmilwaukee.org have everything you need to fully plan every detail. Whatever it is you'd like to do in Milwaukee. Plan your trip today at visitmilwaukee.org.
70 million people in the U.S. have learning and thinking differences, like ADHD and dyslexia. Each has their own story. This is ours. At first, I thought it was just a phase. Then schoolwork became a struggle. Emotions got bigger, and my kids started falling behind. I felt alone, like I was lost in the dark trying to find answers. Then I learned about Understood.org, a nonprofit empowering parents and kids like us. It was like we had a light to show us the path ahead. Whenever new challenges came up, their guidance helped us figure out our next step. We still have tough days, but now we have direction. And I have the tools and resources I need to help my child thrive. No matter where you are on the path, Understood can help you keep moving forward. Visit understood.org/yourpath today.
You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth and the Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
It was summer when I went to talk with Cudgel, so his door was standing wide open. But I knew he was somewhere about the house before I entered the yard because I had found the gate unlocked. When Cudgel goes down into his back field or away from home, he locks his gate with an ingenious wooden peg of African invention. I hailed him by his African name as I walked up the steps to his porch, and he looked up into my face as I stood in the door in surprise. He was eating his breakfast from a round, enameled pan with his hands, in the fashion of his fatherland. The surprise of seeing me halted his hand between pan and face. Then tears of joy welled up. "Oh, Lord, I know it you call my name. Nobody don't call him my name from across the water but you. You always calling me Kazula just like I in the Africa soil." I noted that another man sat eating with him, and I wondered why. So I said, "I see you have company, Kazula." "Yeah, I got to have somebody stay with me. I've been sick in the bed for 5 months. I needed somebody to hand me..."
And that's an excerpt from the book BARRACOON, written by probably one of the most prolific writers, black writers in American history, Zora Neale Hurston. So what's the story behind the story? Who is Zora Neale Hurston? She was a writer. She was an anthropologist, cultural preservationist, as you saw, who emerged from the Harlem Renaissance with a mission to document Black life as it actually was and spoken. So she recorded Cujo. She was born in Edenville, Florida. That's one of the first self-governed Black towns in the country. She studied under a guy named Franz Boas, who was a prolific anthropologist, looking at things from a historical point of view. Now, you remember her from her book, Their Eyes Were Watching God. But this book was published after her death. And so she was committed to preserving Black voices, authentic Black voices, including those of who you heard the person reproducing the words of Cujo Lewis. Now let's ground the conversation right here before we go to break. Because before we talk about the book, we have to understand the mind behind it. Hurston wasn't writing for approval. Her publishers weren't feeling this book at all. They didn't want her to write it. She wrote for preservation because she knew decades later, almost 100 years later, we would hear it. We would read it. And that's a different kind of responsibility. In an era where Black voices were ignored or reshaped to fit white audiences, which is what her publisher wanted to do, she made a decision, but it actually cost her professionally. Why is that? Because she chose truth over acceptance. Oh, we'll accept you as a writer. You're a great writer as long as you write what we want. And she didn't. So here's a question for you. How often do we still reshape truth just so we'll be understood? Withhold information, add something to it, embellish it, or worse, just to be accepted. Follow along, get along with people just to get along. I talked about it the other day. No individuality. Zora Neale Hurston was an individual writer. She forces us in this book. If you haven't read it, you need to read it. If you need to, get the audiobook. It's not a long listen. She forces us to confront that tension of what people want you to hear and what you actually should hear, the truth. Because if you sanitize the voice, you don't just lose the sound, you lose the story as well. I talked about it months ago, the Clotilda, the last slave ship after slavery, after the Emancipation Proclamation, after, when it was over, months, a year. The trip alone through the Middle Passage took 70 days to get from Benin. People on this ship were Beninois. And if you want to understand and know anything about that, go back and watch the Viola Davis movie, The Woman King. That's about the Dahomey Kingdom. That's where he's from. He was Beninois. My family and heritage is Beninois. If you lose the voice, you lose the sound, you lose the story. He was on that ship, the last slave ship that they sunk, so authorities wouldn't know they brought slaves back. He was in slavery for a minute and then was finally released because they had to. Think about that. The last living slave, they have his final words.
Damn!
She recorded some of his final words. His memory of Africa, his memory on the voyage where every single person on the ship survived, where the captain beat other crew members for beating the women and children and men on that ship.
What?
How they were sectioned off and placed in groups so that they look like families, even though they may not have been families, so that they could procreate, so they could have more slaves and make more money to sell and tend the fields. So when we come back, I want to talk about what BARRACOON is about.
You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Well, we've got a crash on 94 right through the Zoo interchange. Basically, it's from the ramp from northbound 894 to westbound 94. So careful with that. Left lane's blocked with it. We've got northbound continuing backups from about Wisconsin Avenue all the way up past Burleigh. Southbound's backing up from just before the county line down to Appleton Avenue. Southbound on 43 also heavy from Keefe all the way down through the Marquette to the KK River crossing. The northbound side slowing down from north of Beecher all the way up to about Locust. And checking the TMJ4 storm team forecast. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, a low of 46. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, breezy, warm. Rainstorms later on at night, a high of 66. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 101.7 The Truth.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on April 28th.
Uh-oh. Churio sends it deep to left, and there she goes.
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they battle the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh, my goodness. Third deck.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Tune in April 28th at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee, or check your local listings to watch the game.
Don't miss one of Milwaukee's favorite summer traditions, the U-Path Ride for Arts, presented by Miller Lite, returns Sunday, May 31st. Ride a fully closed 20-mile course across the Hone Bridge with incredible lakefront views. Kids 12 and under ride free thanks to the Brewers Community Foundation. All in support of Southeastern Wisconsin performing arts. 7 a.m. start, finish at U-Path Fest on Summerfest grounds. Register today at upathride.org. That's UPAFRIDE.org.
Want to protect our planet? The air we breathe, water we drink, and land we share? Real progress begins with birds. Yes, birds. The very ones we see and hear every day. On a walk, in the park, or simply out the window. That's because birds are more than birds. They're symbols, sentinels that reveal the health of our planet and our people. And by helping them thrive, all of us thrive as well. Audubon is a place where birds matter, where habitats are protected, where communities are engaged, and where change takes flight. Because at Audubon, hope begins with birds. Progress begins with birds. It all begins with birds. Audubon.
People don't realize that glaucoma is one of the leading causes of blindness.
Because there are often no early symptoms, nearly half of those with glaucoma may not even know they have it until vision loss has occurred.
I was diagnosed with normal tension glaucoma in July of 2020. And what we found out at that point was I had already lost 40% of my sight. And you think it only affects people that are, 75 or older, retired, grandparents, and that's not the reality of it.
I didn't think at all glaucoma was going to affect me because I didn't know of anyone that had glaucoma, no one in my family. When you have glaucoma, you can't get back that sight that you lost. And so early detection and treatment is vitally, vitally important.
Don't miss life's most beautiful moments. Schedule an eye exam today.
National Glaucoma Research, a bright, focused foundation program, offers free resources and tips for healthy vision.
Learn how to protect your sight at stopglaucoma.org.
This True Sports Update is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Andrew Zimmel. The series finale between the Brewers and Blue Jays is this afternoon at American Family Field after the Brew Crew were able to rally back yesterday.
Ground ball over the mound. Frelick's coming home. He will score. Out at first is Terang, and the Brewers have a 2-1 lead.
The 2-1 victory over the Blue Jays snaps a 6-game losing streak. And with Doc Rivers out, the search for the next head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks begins.
The reality is we are thinking about this over the course of the long term.
Milwaukee Bucks president Josh Glessing on the coaching hire search. Some reported names to look out for: former Memphis Grizzlies head coach Taylor Jenkins, Milwaukee Bucks assistant Darvin Ham, as well as names like Sam Cassell, all could be in the running for the Bucks head coaching job. This True Sports Update is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Andrew Zimmel.
You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number. 42 degrees, feels like 42. High today was 61. Tonight's going to drop to about 31 degrees. Winds are from the southeast at a whole 1 mile an hour. 833-212-1017 is the number. Let's see who's up in here. Kathleen, good evening. How are you? She said, Barracoon, a great read. Hey, what's up, Willie? Reginald, what's going on? Y'all heard Dr. Ken, don't read for speed, just get through it, read for comprehension. Yep. In order to read, one must think, and to think and ponder deeply, one must read. Kathleen said, loving your insightful talk. Hey, what's up, Lucretia? How's it going, Young Money? Young Money said, read The Spook Who Sat by the Door. Old book. I saw the movie from the 1970s. Just phenomenal. He said he got it from Amazon today. Never read the book, but I've seen the movie. The book is better than the movie. Reggie said the Clotilda dropped anchor in Mobile Bay, Alabama, after the importation of Africans were outlawed. Absolutely, most certainly did. There's a great documentary on Netflix about the Clotilda. You should Google it and watch it. Reginald say, let's call these captive contraband cargo. No, I want people to remember it was slavery. I think calling them something different softens the blow. They weren't contraband cargo. They were slaves. They were human beings taken into captivity. But that's just me. He said, call them contraband cargo because that's precisely the nature of that particular vessel. Illegal in every sense of the word. Absolutely. But it didn't stop them. And so before the break, we were talking about the author, Zora Neale Hurston. And I want to kind of dive into the last slave ship story. I kind of touched on it. Now, BARRACOON tells the first-hand account of Cudjo Lewis. Kidnapped from Africa, from Benin, transported on the last known illegal slave ship. And as you just heard, the name of that slave ship is called the Clotilda. Captured in 1860, long after the slave trade was outlawed. They brought him to Alabama, sold him, came through the Middle Passage. Lived into the 20th century and told his story directly to Hurston, who recorded him in his native dialect. Now, test question. What is a barracoon? Talking text line. What's a barracoon? Don't look it up. Don't Google it. What is a barracoon? I'll tell you in about 10 seconds. What is a barracoon? Anybody? You've seen them? If you ever been to Cincinnati and saw the museum, there's a museum in Cincinnati right at, I think it's the Ohio River or Kentucky River, where you could cross, where you can see the river raging by, and on the other side of the bank is Kentucky. Kentucky was considered the South. Cincinnati was in Ohio considered the North. And if you wanted freedom, you had to cross that river. There's a lot of dead bodies and bones and men, women, and children in that river who tried to cross to freedom. Many made it. The problem was, if you were caught, they put you in a holding pen where they put enslaved Africans to hold them. And if nobody came and claimed them, they sold them, gave them back. That holding pen is called a barracoon. Now, here's where it gets real. A little uncomfortably real. Slavery is not an abstract concept that we talk about in years gone by. It's not something that's buried in a history book because they took them out of history books. We're talking about Cujo Lewis, a man who could sit across from you and think about this, tell you what it's like to be taken, to be at home in your native land, dressed in clothing from your culture, and while they're waiting on ships, on little boats to come to transfer you to the larger ship, the Clotilda, they stripped your clothes off. So now here you are embarrassed. You're naked from head to toe. And when you get to Alabama, people see you fully naked, and that's why they called us barbarians. They didn't wear clothes. They did wear clothes. They stripped them off and gave them American clothes. Think if somebody sat across from you and gave you that story. That changes everything. But because it happened so long ago, it allows people to debate history. But in the same instance, it causes people, because of proximity, it forces you to actually feel it, sitting across from him. And what Hairston does here, she broke down the distance. So you got it firsthand. So let me ask you, when history becomes personal, when it's no longer them, Cujo Lewis is not them. Cujo Lewis is us. There's somebody alive today because he died in the 20th century. That's somebody's grandfather. That's somebody's great-great-grandfather. He had children, and his children had children. Does that change how you talk about it? It should. Go back and do some digging like I did. Find out why your grandfather had those really, really, really deep features that were different from everybody else in your family. And that the reason the melanin in my skin is lighter than most people is because of my grandmother. With her red hair, green eyes, and red lips, and white skin. And even though she was mixed, it couldn't outshine a native of Africa. Now, my family's from Alabama. So many of those that are indigenous or can trace their roots to Alabama, 9 times out of 9, their families came from predominantly black towns that were mostly black, like Africatown. Interesting. 833-212-1017 is the number. Derek, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
Yeah, Dr. Ken, that was very interesting. Something she brought up. I remember reading about that, and it was on 60 Minutes. They did something about it where 60 Minutes, I believe, had something about that.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Okay.
But also, I want to ask you a question. I know some people who've gone to Africa, and several questions. I know people who've gone to Africa. I don't know. Have you one of those who's gone?
That is the plan. That is the plan, to go back to my native home, and if I can get time off, become a dual citizen.
Okay.
Yep.
And I know I spoke to somebody who went there, and they were angry. And then I spoke to some people. Then I spoke to an African guy who was from Nigeria. The other one who was angry went to Ghana.
Okay.
And he was explaining to, then a lady around the corner, she's from Mali. She was talking about the slave trade. She's a Mandingo. And I said, I thought the Mandingos are on the West Coast. He said, no, let me tell you about it. She talked about, she wasn't there, but her grandmother wasn't there, but her grandmother told her story that I guess her grandmother told her about the slave trade, and even in the country of Mali, and how they would capture the slaves, because their understanding is what they were told is that they thought they had been taken by wild animals, because they had a lot of wild animals there. Then they found out later that these people had been enslaved. And also, I spoke to a Nigerian person, Akilium, and I asked him about the slave trade in Nigeria, and he told me, hey, how did that work? He looked at me cautiously, and I said, Akilium, I'm not going to get mad at you. He said, well, this is what the deal was. We were, my ancestors, not him, my ancestors, a bunch of white people came there, and they said, we need 100 blacks, 200 blacks, 300 blacks, or whatever, and we'll trade you.
Correct.
And
that is correct.
So they would go capture. He said they would go capture them, bring them in there, and they would trade them for guns or trinkets or whatever they're going to trade them for. And I asked Keelan, did you ever feel any remorse? He said, well, let me say, I didn't have anything to do with it, but I would tell you it was a form of business. I mean, that whole slave thing, it was a business.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I mean, if people don't realize how much money was made during the slave era.
Yeah, trillions. That's why you have a lot of white families from the South that are rich today, because they made money. Their ancestors made money off the slave trade.
Yeah, and people don't realize how much money was made off slave trade on both sides. He said,
and they got loans
mainly
from
on this
places
side,
like J.P. Morgan, Chase. They got loans from big banks here that are around today and built their portfolio on cargo, commonly known as slaves.
Yes, but he also, and then I spoke to somebody else. He said a lot of the Africans and Nigerians, they were making some money too, and they said the way they work too. A lot of them sent a lot of their children out to England to be educated. And he says, somebody who's been to Nigeria was telling me one thing about Nigeria is one thing you would notice, you ever go there, it's a very westernized country.
Yes, it is.
Compared to other African countries. And he says that comes from the influence of them going to England. A lot of them going to England and being educated and coming back to Nigeria.
Yeah.
But also somebody, I don't know this guy. I almost thought about hitting this guy in the mouth, but I didn't. I was working with a white guy here, and I think, like you said, I probably would have gone to jail. But he came in and he said, you know something, I don't know how this conversation started, but he's talking about the slave trade. He said, you know something, I don't mean to sound harsh, but when your ancestors got captured or whatever you said, we kind of like did you a favor, because we got you out of and he pointed out how Africa looks now. And I said, that's not a fair question, because your ancestors come from England or wherever they come from, and they were starving to death. And that is not a fair question, even a fair comment to even say that to me. But he said, we kind of like did you a favor by bringing you to this country, because otherwise, if you're in Africa, you would be starving to death.
But that's the picture people paint. That's the motif. That's the narrative that they create, that black people were just savages, and they came and saved us. That's how Christianity made its way to slaves. So thank you for the call, Derek. It's one of those things that we can't fix. You can't fix another person's belief at that level. All you can do is give them the facts, give them the truth, give them the data, and if they change their mind, change their mind. If they don't, they don't. Thank you for the call. Information like this has to be transformative, and that is why Zora Neale Hurston talked about, and when we come back, we're going to talk about it, why she didn't clean up the way that he spoke, the way that he talked, the way that Cujo Lewis presented himself. You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. We're discussing the book, BARRACOON.
You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Need a way to hype up your day?
Hello, is this Shirley?
This is she.
Shirley, you are our Gruber 5K giveaway winner this quarter. Congratulations.
What would you do with $5,000?
Going to look at buying me a pickup truck. That will be some of my down payment.
Stay tuned into 101.7 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
I love you guys.
At UW Credit Union, our home loans have everything you need for your next big step, including up to $750 off closing costs for all home buyers. And first-time buyers can save even more. So if you're ready to trade roomies for more room, or your townhome for an out-of-town home, UW Credit Union will be with you from start to furnished. UW Credit Union. Apply online today. Equal housing lender. Credit may be limited as required by program. Visit uwcu.org for details.
Sweet Talks Medical Spa in Menominee Falls. Skip the sterile clinical office feel. Sweet Talk stays on the cutting edge of beauty and wellness innovations in a vibrant, playful space promoting self-love and confidence. Sweet Talk specializes in a range of treatments including injectables, medical-grade skincare, weight loss, hormone therapies, and more. Not sure where to start? Sweet Talks offers comprehensive wellness consultations to create a customized plan centered around you. Because at Sweet Talks, your goals are their goals. Learn more at sweettalks.com.
Walk in for a suit, walk out with two. It's buy one, get one half off throughout April at Nick Avani's. Suits, blazers, hats, jeans, and more. Everything you need from a hands-on team that styles you from head to toe. Find a suit, add shoes for half the price. Land the perfect two-piece set, now add a vest for 50% less. Prom, weddings, galas, whatever's on your calendar, now's the time to stop in to Nick Avani's. Second floor at Mayfair Mall across from AMC. Buy one, get one half off throughout April at Nick Avani's. Some exclusions may apply. See store for details.
When you get a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, things get real.
And nobody understands that better than the Parkinson's Foundation. All across the country, we provide resources and support in the fight against Parkinson's, a neurological disease that affects movement.
The Parkinson's Foundation is dedicated to improving care and advancing research towards a cure.
And when you call our helpline, you'll speak to a real person who can help you find the right information. Because while living with Parkinson's can be challenging, there are things you can do to improve your quality of life. So, whether you're newly diagnosed, have been living with Parkinson's for years, or caring for a loved one.
When Parkinson's gets real, find real answers at the Parkinson's Foundation.
Go to parkinson.org or call our helpline at 1-800-4PD-INFO, 1-800-473-4636. The Parkinson's Foundation. Better lives together.
You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. Before the break, we talked to Derek, and we talked about the last slave ship story. But now we want to dive into the power of voice. Why Zora Neale Hurston didn't clean up the words, didn't make it so folk could understand it and hear what he was saying. She preserved Cujo Lewis's dialect exactly how he spoke it. Think about that. Exactly the way he spoke it. She refused to translate it into standard English. They rejected the manuscript because of the dialect, and she refused to alter it for their comfort because she believed the reader has to meet the speaker where they are. So let's look at this. Let's talk about comfort. Because what publishers are really saying is that we want the story, not just the way he tells it. And that's dangerous, but that's how history is softened and reshaped and eventually misremembered, and then we create these history books that are trash. And so Hurston pushed back on that. She understood language carries identity, truth. So when you strip away the language, you strip away the person. If you're being honest, and we still do this today, we code switch, we tone police, we decide which voice is credible. So the question is, do we really want the truth, or do we want something easier to digest, easier to hear, easy on our ears? Because that's what we've done. That's why we got children ripping and running around cities and tearing stuff up and looking at social media and knowing the latest shoe, the latest words to use, the slang, instead of history. That is why we need to take control of our schools, public or private. That is why we need to make sure our history is read and spoken and it's authentic. But more importantly, we have to make sure it's the truth. 833-212-1017 is the number. We have to fight the false narrative. We have to fight against the information that's going out. So after the break, I'm going to do my top 5 at 5, and then we've got more from Zora Neale Hurston as we discussed BARRACOON. All that and more up next.
You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
In 1987, the Bucks took on the world and changed basketball forever.
At stake, basketball supremacy in the United States.
Bucks versus the World, narrated by Charlie Behrens, is the new season of Behind the Bucks podcast, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. It's the untold story of the 1987 McDonald's Open, when the Bucks became the first NBA team to face the Soviet Union. Listen now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
There, Jane Lynch here. You want to hear something funny? Too bad. You want to hear something uplifting that will inspire you? Good. Because today, I want to talk to you about Direct Relief, a humanitarian organization that does seriously good work when it counts. Fires, hurricanes, earthquakes. When disaster strikes, Direct Relief immediately shows up with medicines, medical supplies, and everything doctors and nurses need to save lives. Let's ship her out! Every day across the United States and around the world, they're making an enormous difference. If someone needs help, Direct Relief helps. No politics, no red tape. Hey, what you doing over there?
Oh, I'm packing insulin for kids with diabetes.
See, every box here is literally a lifeline for someone in critical need. So check them out at directrelief.org and donate if you can. You might just bring a smile to someone's face.
Listen to the man who tells you exactly how he sees it. The Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on 101.7 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Of course it is.
It's a lot of adjustment.
But answer my question, though. Should we let people go? Should we let people go? Like, let's just forget about bail altogether. And if your neighbor commits a homicide and kills people up, if you kill people and they next to you and you just let them come back and live right next to you, they can live upstairs from you. Let them come in your house.
Frank, candid, and straight to the point. This is the best radio show in the state of Wisconsin. Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app.
Now, he's the mayor of the city of Milwaukee. He's a young man. Give him a chance. I only complain about things that I care about. What I want you to do is pretend like I'm in St. Louis. And all I'm asking the mayor and the Common Council president and the Common Council, show me.
Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is Dr. Ken Harris.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. 833-212-1017 is the number. If you missed the first hour, you may want to go back and check it out on the Truth app. Always remember you can stream and watch us live on YouTube at 1017thetruth.com or on YouTube. When you go there, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a minute of a live show. But if you want to listen live or watch live, go to YouTube. Or if you want to win special Truth giveaways, you can download the 1017 The Truth app in the App Store or Google Play Store. And if you miss it all, you can listen back on the app or go to Apple Podcasts or my favorite, Spotify. We've been talking about the book BARRACOON by the author, the prolific author, the Harlem Renaissance author, Zora Neale Hurston. And if you want to get the book, 833-212-1017, you can order it from Amazon. Just text the keyword BARRACOON, BARRACOON, and there's a link there, and you can just buy the book and read it yourself. Again, that's BARRACCON. I'm sorry, COON. Let me do that again. BARRACOON, BARRACOON. Zora Neale Hurston. You can get the link to the Amazon official page and check it out. I'm not supporting Amazon or saying go to Amazon only. You can find it anywhere. 833-212-1017 is the number. Kathleen said, I feel Zora wanted to maintain the orality of the spoken word from Casola and make it real and vital and an authentic feature of the narrative. She did. You are so very correct. And so many times, like her white publishers wanted her to do, she wanted them to, just go in and change it and make it so everybody can read it and understand it. And it's trash. I gotta say, it's trash. It is. The Angels said, FYI, Dr. Ken, slave catchers were called paddy rollers. They'd catch slaves, put them in a wagon with bars, and transport them to slavery. Today, when police catch suspects, they transport them to jail in a what? Paddy wagons. Some names and things ain't really changed. Well, in law enforcement, that is not true, as far as what I learned. Irish people were called paddies. And so if you understand law enforcement on the East Coast, they picked the biggest immigrants that came over and deputized them and made them cops. And the slang word for the Irish back in the day was paddies, P-A-D-D-Y, a paddy. And so over the years, wagons that transported people were known as paddy wagons, P-A-D-D-Y wagons. So that's another rendition of basically the same thing. Either way, it takes you to a place where you might not want to go. 833-212, great point, D'Angelo. 833-212-1017 is the number. Oh, I got an alert that I need to share with you. Tornado watch has been issued for all of southeastern Wisconsin. Southeastern Wisconsin's weather today feels like two seasons. This is from WISN.com. Winter weather in the morning, mainly across northern counties, and then freezing rain fell later in the day. And so at 4:29, about a half hour ago, a little over, National Weather Service expanded its tornado watch to all of southeastern Wisconsin, Kenosha, Racine, Walworth, Jefferson, Waukesha, Ozaukee, Washington, Dodge, Fond du Lac, Sheboygan, and of course, Milwaukee County. It's in effect until 8 o'clock p.m. So be careful. Be very, very careful how you travel and what you do. It is wet and rainy. Right now it's 47 degrees. The low tonight is 31. Winds are from the south at about 4 miles an hour.
Number 5.
This from Fox 6, of course, I've been telling you. Tornado watch is issued, and be careful. It's going to be pretty interesting. Strong to severe storms, hazards. You're going to get hail, damaging winds, and now possibly tornadoes. So we'll see. And as if insult weren't enough, there might be a little injury in our future.
Number 4.
From WISN.com, We Energies is looking for state approval to do what? To raise rates for the next 2 years. The utility submitted a proposal to the Wisconsin Public Service Commission today. The filing, according to We Energies, supports investments to renewable energy projects and reliable energy service. Brendan Conway, Director of Media Relations at We Energies, said, what we're doing here is for reliability. It's making sure that we're keeping bills as low as possible by raising the rate. Oh, okay. And it's making sure that at the end of the day, the lights will stay on and people can have the energy they need. According to We Energies, a typical residential customer's bill would increase about $13 in 2027. Their monthly bill in 2028 would increase another $8 or $9. So let me see, 9 and 13. That's $22. We Energies said their typical residential customer currently pays about $142.66 per month. I wish I did, meaning that by the end of 2028, they'll be paying more than 14% more if the increase is approved. What say you? Because customers are saying it's already a pain point. It's already a pain point. But what other choice do you have? Somebody said in February their bill was $900, so in just 1 month. 1 month. We have a large house. It's an old house, and they didn't insulate the way that they do now. That's a staggering bill. It was like, okay, it was painful. It is. It is. And I know we need it, but I wish energy was not a monopoly. Because if it wasn't, then, yeah, I wish it wasn't. I don't even know what to say.
Number 3.
The Kenosha homicide suspect was taken into custody today. This from Fox6Now.com. A shelter-in-place order was issued after Kenosha authorities received credible information that the suspect wanted for a homicide was in the area of 75th and 75th Street and 23rd Avenue in Kenosha about 9 a.m. Today, investigators received credible information that Marcus L.A. Plaza may be in the area of 75th and 23rd, and so they arrived and they found him, and now he is in custody. The owner of a salon told Fox 6 that Plaza was found in the basement, that no customers or employees were hurt, and that he is now in custody. And somebody at MPD is going to need some emergency vehicle operation course retraining.
Number 2.
This from CBS 58. Unfortunately, a Milwaukee police squad car rolled onto its side during a pursuit yesterday, injuring 2 officers. That's according to Milwaukee police. Officers say they spotted a vehicle wanted in connection to a shooting near Congress in Titonia around 5:38 p.m. and attempted a traffic stop. The driver refused to stop. They fled. They chased. And near 6 of Concordia, after stop sticks were deployed, the 24-year-old driver was taken into custody. Police say illegal drugs were found in the car, and both officers were taken to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. And as always, criminal charges will be referred to the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office. Interesting.
Number 1.
This also from CBS 58. Well, I guess we have a new phrase now. The Bondi bounce. President Donald Trump has fired Pam Bondi as Attorney General. That's 2. First we got Noam, and now we got Bondi. She is being replaced now by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who will serve as acting Attorney General, Trump said. The president wrote on Truth Social that Bondi would be transitioning to a much-needed and more important new job in the private sector, praising her for her work in his administration and offering no specific reason for why she would be leaving. He wrote, Pam Bondi is a great American patriot and a loyal friend who faithfully served as my Attorney General over the past year and did what I think is a poor job. Pam did a tremendous job, that's what he said, overseeing a massive crackdown in crime across our country with murders plummeting to the lowest levels since 1900. Really? Trump has been frustrated with Bondi on several fronts, including her handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files and that she had not investigated or prosecuted enough of his political opponents. She's the second cabinet secretary to be ousted in recent weeks. He removed Kristi Noem as Secretary of Department of Homeland Security, and one source said Trump felt that firing went smoothly, making him less weary of removing others. Trump had, in recent days, talked to allies about the possibility of firing Pam Bondi and said he spoke to her personally yesterday about the possibility it would happen. That's what sources said. In the conversation, which one source described as tough, Trump indicated Bondi was not long for her role. He'd be replacing her in the near future. And then he did it the next day. So, boop, there you go. I wonder how high did she bounce? You think she bounced? I think she bounced. 833-212-1017 is the number. Man, they are blowing them out of that place. Wow. Interesting. 833-212-1017 is the number. You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. When I come back, I'll hit the talk and text line and hit the YouTube chat. Then we'll get back to BARRACOON. Now? Okay. And we got a phone call, so we'll be hitting both. We're going to be talking about the life that was lost. You know, we talk about the fact that they put him in the Middle Passage and brought him over here, and they were here, but for whatever they gained, you know, he built a house and built everything. We want to dive into what happened before slavery. Like what was the life that was lost when he was taken and stolen from Africa? You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris.
You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Truth Nation, it's that time of year again for the Tory Lowe Community Cleanup. Mark your calendars for Saturday, April 18th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. as we'll be cleaning up the city of Milwaukee. You can also safely get rid of hazardous household items thanks to MMST. Drop off your items from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at MLK Elementary School. We're talking things like all antifreeze, paint thinners, batteries, and pesticides. Sign up now at ToryLoweCleanup.com. The Tory Lowe Community Cleanup is sponsored by Milwaukee College Prep, Steinhoffels, Cousin Sub, and Waste Management.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on April 28th.
Uh-oh. Churio sends it deep to left, and there she goes.
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they battle the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh, my goodness. Third deck.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Tune in April 28th at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee, or check your local listings to watch the game.
Don't miss one of Milwaukee's favorite summer traditions, the U-Path Ride for Arts, presented by Miller Lite, returns Sunday, May 31st. Ride a fully closed 20-mile course across the Hone Bridge with incredible lakefront views. Kids 12 and under ride free thanks to the Brewers Community Foundation. All in support of Southeastern Wisconsin Performing Arts. 7 a.m. start, finish at UPath Fest on Summerfest grounds. Register today at upathride.org. That's UPAFRIDE.org.
Hi, I'm Greg Fritsch, president of the Center for Veterans Issues, inviting you to get involved in supporting the CVI mission. The Center for Veterans Issues is proud to serve veterans across Wisconsin. Each year, we help more than 1,200 veterans stay housed, find meaningful employment, and connect with the support they've earned. From housing assistance and job training to case management and suicide prevention outreach, our team is here to help veterans build stable, independent lives. If you're a veteran in need of support, visit cvivet.org. Donations can also be accepted at cvivet.org/donate.
When I was diagnosed with Hodgkin lymphoma, I had so many questions. I didn't even know that it was cancer. Now I do. It is cancer. Blood cancer. It's actually one of more than 100 different types, and they're all treated differently. Now, unlike some other forms of cancer, usually there's no tumor. You can't screen for it to prevent it, and the symptoms can look like other things, so it could be hard to diagnose. I had a fever for weeks. I was so tired all the time. I didn't feel like eating or doing anything else for that matter. And I know that this can feel scary. But if you know what to look out for, you'll know what to tell your doctor. And you'll feel more empowered to take the next steps. Like getting in touch with the people who know the ins and outs and can help with everything blood cancer related. Blood Cancer United. They work one-on-one with each person who reaches out to answer questions and offer resources. Blood Cancer United was there for me, and they can be there for you.
Go to bloodcancerunited.org to learn more.
You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris, 833-212-1017 is the number. 833-212-1017 is the number. 48 degrees. Low tonight is 31. Want to remind every single solitary person National Weather Service has extended tornado watch to include the following areas, pretty much everywhere in southeastern Wisconsin, including Milwaukee, and that is until 8 p.m. tonight. Southside Frank, you're on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth.
Dr. Ken, good afternoon.
How are you?
Couldn't be better. I was out of the house. I was already leaving to the Lincoln Nature Walk with my dog, and you said something, and I pulled right back to the house, grabbed the phone. I think Bondi is being excused, or she's doing her own thing. She's walking, and I think it's because that'll put her in a place where she can't be examined or scrutinized for these deep questions that are going to come. I think she's being insulated from what's going to come.
What exactly is going to come?
Chief, 100%.
Say what?
It's coming, Ken. Things are happening. The pace is scary.
Like what?
Iran.
Why would that affect Pam Bondi? She's the Attorney General for the United States.
She's just another scapegoat, my friend.
Well,
or a potential scapegoat.
If you have a president that's going to use his office to go after people because of
I know her title. Look, I know her title doesn't even.
Cool.
No, hey, if the draft came up, I would sign up. I respect the commander-in-chief, every one of his decisions. I think what he's doing is the best for the country, but things are happening too fast. It seems like it's a little unregulated, to say the least, and I'm a little scared.
So evidently, everything isn't going well if it's going too fast.
Everything is not going well, my friend. Few things are going well. Very few things are going well right now, and it's happening too fast.
So how can you support the president when everything is going too fast and things aren't going well?
Because I believe what he's doing is right. You know, I'm boots on the ground.
Southside. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
Citizenry.
You're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
I'm the citizenry. We learned at the end. All right.
All right. Take care. I don't know if I want to learn at the end that something was wrong and it was bad. I'm just saying. So we've been talking, it's Black Book Thursday. We've been talking about BARRACOON. But before we get to BARRACOON, Al, you're on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth.
What I don't understand is, why would you die for somebody who wouldn't even enlist their own kids? Why would you die for somebody
we don't know that.
Who looks down?
We don't know that.
We're talking about integrity and principle, and it means a whole lot. That's what we judge by, integrity and principle.
Okay.
And when you have somebody, and this been verified by CNN, who say veterans are suckers and losers, and his own low class family with dram dodges, and you gonna die. That's what you call a dumb idiot. And you know what? You go right ahead and die for him, because no way I would die for a white man who's going to put down veterans who's dealing from PTSD, lost limbs.
That's wrong.
They're suffering, and you're sitting here getting fat, overweight, being a racist, a low class like the family you come from, and you're going to disrespect veterans who gave their life, and all you did was rob, steal, and kill like your grandmother? Oh, absolutely not. But let him go on and die for him so he can make a joke about him, too, at his damn funeral. Bye.
Tell me how you really feel, Al. But you do know a lot of black folks signed up to go into the military. A lot of black folks are serving right now. But I understand. I wouldn't want to die either. I think they might die for their country and not necessarily Donald Trump. He just happens to be the commander-in-chief. But I get your point. He's made some vital, horrendous mistakes, and eventually, what's that saying? What's the saying? Your chickens will come home to roost. Interesting. So we were talking about before the break. We did the top 5 at 5, and we talked about basically the Agoji. We talked about his dialect. We talked about Cujo Lewis's the manuscript and how the white publisher didn't want to publish it. But I want to dive into, let's look at all this stuff before he got taken. They look at his life in Africa, his family, his culture, community. But before he was captured, he lived in an area that used to be part of Nigeria that's now present-day Benin. And when you're from Benin, they call you Beninois, but you are Beninese or Beninois. That's the French saying. And so the village was destroyed by the Dahomey army. The Dahomey was a tribe, and if you watch The Woman King, the Dahomey is a tribe that basically had Agoji. And Agoji were female warriors who fought and pledged their life to the king. They were celibate. They all lived together. They worked out together. They trained together. And they took, when they warred with other tribes would come in and try to destroy them and steal their gold and their trinkets and their guns. They would then take them into captivity and trade them to the English. And that is how slavery got to America. I'm just saying. So a lot of tribes fought with other tribes turned him over and made trinkets and all sorts of things. And so I think people need to understand he was captured as a free person. He wasn't born a slave. So think about that. We're not talking about somebody that lived into the 20th century and was the child of a slave. He was born free, was captured while he was free, and then enslaved. Now, this might be the most important part of the book when you read it, and it's the part that most people overlook because we've used stories that begin with slavery as if that's where our identity starts, right? Well, I'm a victim of slavery, I'm African American. Hurston flips that. She forces you to see a man who, just like you, right, today in America, had a life, had a king, was going on, doing things, working, catching food, had a family, had a language they spoke, had a culture, all before being taken captive. All those things. And that matters because it reframes the entire conversation. He wasn't a slave who gained his humanity and came to America and learned. He was a human being, and his freedom was stolen. He got put in chains, stripped, put on a boat, taken to the Clotilda, put in the hold with his friends. And when he saw his friends on the boat, he became happy because he said, well, at least if I'm going and they're going to take me, I'm with my friends. I see a friend. Think about that. He wasn't a slave who gained emancipation. He was already emancipated. And technically, you had to be a slave to be emancipated. He was a free man. There was no emancipation. Matter of fact, slavery was over, and they still went and got him. His freedom was stolen. That's a different narrative. That's an entirely different narrative. Think about this. How different would history be if we started with what was lost instead of just talking about what we endured? We made it through slavery. We made it through Jim Crow. We made it through civil rights. What about before that? We know it about Italy. We know it about Greece. We know it about England. We know it about Norway. We know it about Ireland. We know it about every European country. We can go back in history and look at pre-everything, prehistoric everything. They got all the information. When it comes to us, they started slavery. Why is that? Because they don't want you to know that we were doing math, that we had our own language and families and cultures and communities, an entire diaspora on an entire continent. But all we want to do is look at where we started. And that's one of the things they do to us. They have created a narrative where black people in America just appeared after slavery. 1865, poof, and we just appeared. Makes no sense. None at all. But the one thing we have to keep in our mind when we come back, the one thing we have to keep in our mind, right? And it'll sound weird when I say it, but I want you to think about it during the break. Freedom wasn't freedom. You could be free, but you might not be free.
You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
we got a lot of broken down vehicles, interestingly enough, all over the place. We've got 1, 2, maybe 3 on 94 eastbound and westbound as well. But at the moment, none of them are in traffic. So what we've got, delays before about 25th Street all the way to about Hawley Road, and then back on the brakes from the Zoo Interchange all the way to Calhoun, and again from Barker Road all the way to Springdale. We got the eastbound side backing up too from 84th Street all the way to about 35th. Southbound 43, a hefty ride there from about Center Street all the way down through the Marquette down to the KK River crossing. Northbound's backed up from Lincoln all the way up to about Locust. And we have a crash on northbound 41 just before you get to Burleigh. Yes, that's through the construction zone. It is off on the right shoulder, though. Delays coming up from Wisconsin Avenue all the way up past Burleigh. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, a low of 46. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, breezy, warm. Rainstorms later on at night, a high of 66. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 101.7 The Truth.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer, providing equal employment, development, and advancement opportunities to all teammates and applicants. To learn more about careers with us, please send an email to talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com. That's talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com.
Need help but don't know where to turn? Contact 211 Wisconsin today. Whether it's finding food, housing assistance, mental health support, help with addiction, or more, 211 Wisconsin is available for free 24/7 to connect you with thousands of local programs and services. Dial 211 on your phone. You can also chat with a specialist on 211wisconsin.org or install the 211 app. Help is closer than you think. Sponsored by 211 Wisconsin.
Do you hear that? And that? And that? Those are the sounds of a healthy and vibrant community. And to this United Way volunteer, nothing sounds better. They're the sounds of children being given greater chances to succeed in school. The sounds of neighbors receiving the support needed to overcome challenges, both big and small. They're the sounds of families gaining access to quality health care and nutritious food for their tables. And they're the sounds of members of our community who've benefited from United Way's financial education programs. See, wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. People working together to respond and growing the good for everyone. United is the way. So join us by getting involved or giving back. Learn more at unitedway.org.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, Teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
This True Sports Update is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Andrew Zimmel. The series finale between the Brewers and Blue Jays is this afternoon at American Family Field after the Brew Crew were able to rally back yesterday.
Ground ball over the mound. Frelick's coming home. He will score. Out at first is Terang, and the Brewers have a 2-1 lead.
The 2-1 victory over the Blue Jays snaps a 6-game losing streak. And with Doc Rivers out, the search for the next head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks begins.
The reality is we are thinking about this over the course of the long term.
Milwaukee Bucks president Josh Glessing on the coaching hire search. Some reported names to look out for: former Memphis Grizzlies head coach Taylor Jenkins, Milwaukee Bucks assistant Darvin Ham, as well as names like Sam Cassell, all could be in the running for the Bucks head coaching job. This True Sports Update is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Andrew Zimmel.
You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris, 833-212-1017 is the number. Todd on the talking text line said, Dr. Ken, Janine Pirro will be next AG. Blanche will fill in for a while, then Pirro up for nomination. This will take time, then crushing the Epstein probe into Trump. Interesting point. Southside Frank said the piece on the moon was captivating. The piece you and Denise did on AI and sports gambling was point and relevant. Good. Okay, that was from Monday night. So before the break, we were talking about before slavery, and now I want to dive into after slavery, where technically they were free, but they weren't free. Like freedom actually wasn't freedom. So how do you do this after slavery? Well, think about this. After everything happened and they went through everything and finally they figured out, hey, you're free, and then they couldn't get around it, they were made free. They had emancipation. Now, can you imagine? Anyway, it just blows my mind. So Cujo Lewis did what I've been saying we need to do in Milwaukee for the past, 5 years, maybe 6 years, maybe 6.5 years, 5.5 years, whatever, can't count, public school. They built Africatown. He was a firm believer. His tribe was a firm believer. And if you don't have it, build it. You don't have a store in your community? Build it. You don't have a school in your community? Build it. You have a business in your community? Build it. You have a radio station in your community? Build it. No reparations. They built a self-sustaining community, a black community, run by black people in Africa. No reparations, no land grants, like they started our schools. God bless them, Morehouse and Spelman and all those. They didn't have none of that. They went in and they started it. Think about that. No land grants, no grants. They pooled their resources. The wives got jobs. The men got jobs. They pooled their resources and created Africatown. Now, why do you think they created Africatown? Why do you think they called it Africatown? They wanted to preserve their culture and their independence. And that's exactly what they did. Freedom wasn't freedom for them unless they were independent. We throw the word freedom around like it's a finish line. I'm free. But for Cujo Lewis and all the others, it was just the beginning of another struggle. He talked about it. Oh, yeah, we're free. They gave us everything. Everything's good. And then he realized they didn't have any clothes. They didn't have any money. They didn't have any land. They didn't have any houses. They didn't have anything. Nothing. No compensation. No path forward. Hey, y'all free. Get off my land. Goodbye. It was another 3 years before the Freedmen's Bank came around. So what did they do? They built anyway. They weren't given Africatown or given the land. They created it with their own hands. And that's the part of the story that deserves mention. Two things, resilience and responsibility. Think about what they did. They felt responsible for the people that are here that don't have anywhere to go, anywhere to live, no food to eat, no clothes to wear, nothing. No reparations, no land grants, nothing. And they pooled their money together and built an entire town. We're not talking the resilience it took to come through the Middle Passage and make it. We're talking about after you got here and somebody said, that's like you being 18 years old, your parents going, okay, you're done. You need to find somewhere to live. And if you don't find anywhere to live and you don't have any money and you don't have a job and you just graduated from high school and you got nowhere to go, you got no reparations, you got no money from grandma, and they tell you, get out. Hit the door. In 30 seconds, I should see you on the other side of the door and I'm locking it. Click, and you're out. You can either be responsible for yourself and build onto the resiliency that your parents gave you up until that age. Think about leaving your homeland and everything, your culture, your community, your friends, everybody gone. That's resilience. But then they felt responsible. And when you think about what does a nation owe people who are wronged, you brought me here, and then you kicked me loose like I was a pet, like I was a wild dog, and you just tossed me out in the wilderness. What happens when you made money off of me by selling me, and then kicked me to the curb and didn't give me a dime? And that debt is never paid. We've been asking for reparations, but you and I both know we're never going to get reparations. And at that point, it wasn't history, it was policy. We will not. Economics. And it's the same way we're living and the same thing we're going through right now. We talk about history, but we really don't want to know it, because then it'll hurt. We want everything to be great. We have generations today that eschews struggle, doesn't build any resilience, no stick-to-itiveness, old school phrase. Just, I want it easy. I got a convenience app on my phone. I don't have to call you. I can text you, so I don't know how to talk to people. I come out the house in pajamas instead of clothing. I get up and go through my day without taking a shower or a bath. I don't brush my teeth. I just go because I'm convenient. It's convenient. I wear slippers instead of shoes. It's convenient. I want to be comfortable. I want creature comfort. I can't afford it. So my creature comfort is trash because my slippers are dirty. My pajamas are dirty. My belt's hanging around my butt. And I'm talking about very, very few people. I'm talking a single percentage of people in the black community. But the problem is, they're creating the narrative that people think about us. And when we try to correct them, they get hostile and want to run us over with a car, shoot us, holler at us, scream at us, hit us in the head with a baseball bat, beat people that look like you because they actually said something to you and told you to stop doing something you were doing because it was detrimental. Not just to your community or to your family, but actually to you. Think about that. To try to stop somebody from doing something that will hurt them, they turn on you. Can you imagine if that would have happened to Cujo Lewis, that they went to people and said, hey, we don't have anything. But he still held on to his African roots. He still held on to the structure that he learned growing up, the way of life from Africa, and brought it here. And built Africa Town. Not Africa Garden or Africa House or Africa Block or Africa Community. They built Africa Town. They got with a group of other people and built from the ground up. So when Zora Neale Hurston went to talk to him at his home in Alabama, he was in the house he built with his hands, that his neighbors came with him. That's why you see stuff with Habitat for Humanity, why it's so powerful when a group of people come together and in a day or two literally build and finish a house. Think about that. Somebody comes in and builds the foundation and puts up the walls and everything, and you go in and you do the floors and you do the walls and you put in windows and you paint light fixtures, electric, plumbing, carpentry, house. They didn't have any of that. And they built an entire town. Can you imagine if black people got together and built a suburb, found some unincorporated area in Wisconsin and said, hey, by the way, we're going to start a city council and we're going to build out. And we're not going to work with politicians. We're going to eschew the Democratic Party. We're going to eschew the Republican Party. We're going to be independent. We're going to build our own future. Could that happen today? I don't think so. I honestly do not think we could build an Africa Town today. We couldn't build a store. We couldn't keep a store in a community. The store that we actually own can't keep it. Because we've been indoctrinated too much into the culture of America. And that's not a bad thing if you take advantage of it for yourself. And so now the narrative is meetups. And all through summer, we're going to be known as meetups. And there are so many things that this book can tell you. There's so many things you can learn. And when we come back in our final segment, I want to talk about the truth that we actually avoid. That's right there in our face, that we need to learn. We're going to talk about why all this still matters.
You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Truth Nation, it's your boy Tory Lowe, and I need to let you know the award-winning Tory Lowe Show can now be streamed live on YouTube. How? Every day from 1 to 4. Truth Nation, I am now bringing all the smoke on YouTube every single weekday. Hey, how? I need you to go to YouTube right now and subscribe to 101.7 The Truth and check out the award-winning Tory Lowe Show live every afternoon. Milwaukee Black Talk is now streaming live on YouTube. Now that's powerful.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on April 28th.
Uh-oh. Churio sends it deep to left, and there she goes.
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they battle the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh, my goodness. Third deck.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Tune in April 28th at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee, or check your local listings to watch the game.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance, because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
You've been diagnosed with COPD, but breathing seems to be getting harder. Everyday activities, walking to the mailbox, going up the stairs, talking on the phone take more effort than they used to. You're short of breath more often. Flare-ups are happening more frequently. And slowly, life starts to feel smaller. Is this you? If your COPD symptoms are getting worse, there may be options that can help you breathe easier and get back to doing more of what matters to you. That could mean walking further, spending more time with family and friends, feeling more confident leaving the house, and getting back to the life you want to live. If your COPD is changing, it's time to have a conversation with your doctor. Visit the COPD Foundation website at isthisyoucopd.org to learn the signs of severe and worsening COPD and the right questions to ask next. Take action today. Breathe better tomorrow.
After a serious accident, you'll need a winning team to protect your rights. Trust Wisconsin's own Ruger's offices. Proud partner of your Milwaukee Brewers. One call, that's all.
Prizes, exclusive experiences, even cash money. You want it? We've got it. Find a list of all contests and official rules by visiting truthcontests.com. That's truthcontests.com.
You are listening to the best of Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app. Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. Remember, there's a tornado watch in effect for all of southeastern Wisconsin. If you're in the sound of my voice and you're in Wisconsin, there is a tornado watch. So be aware of that. 49 degrees at 49 minutes after the hour here on 101.7 The Truth. Remember, you can text the keyword BARRACOON, BARRACOON, and you'll get the link to the Amazon official page so you can get the book we're talking about today on Black Book Thursday by profound author Zora Neale Hurston. And so we want to look at why this book actually matters. So the book BARRACOON matters because it's one of the last direct links we have to the transatlantic trade we call slavery. And it forces us today to confront that reality. It's written in the 1930s, published only in 2018. It's not even 10 years old. It raises questions about why this truth was delayed and the challenges around the sanitized version we now know as slavery. So here's something that's uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable truth, but you need to know. The story didn't just happen a long time ago. It lived in the same timeline as my grandparents. My grandmother was born in 1903. And the fact that this book sat unpublished for 90 years tells you that it's not just history that gets buried, it's truth. And so the real question becomes, what are we still not hearing today? Because every generation decides what they call truth, which is ridiculous to me, but what they'll confront and what they'll delay. Reading BARRACOON will cause you, let me retract that. Reading BARRACOON will force you to stop delaying. And if you read it, and if you really listen to the audiobook or read the book, Cujo Lewis never in the entire text asks anybody for sympathy. That book never asks for sympathy. It didn't say, woe is me. Oh, life is hard. Oh, we're not going to make it. Didn't say any of those things. Didn't try to downplay it. Didn't try to make it soft. demanding understanding. But if you're going to understand it, you have to be responsible to share the information that's in this book so people understand exactly what really happened. And only then can we really call it Black history. Only then can we share by simply being responsible. We have to remember that's why we're here. And so once a month, we're going to pick a Thursday. We're going to do Black Book Thursday so that you can understand what it really means to be responsible. You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris. The analysis is up tonight, so make sure you hang out for an hour or so and check him out, and then we'll hop into the Tori Lowe Show and rebroadcast until tomorrow morning when you hear the morning show with Homer Blow. Hey, God bless. Take care. Hope this moved you to grow and expand and share. I want to say thank you. God bless. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate you. Deuces. I'm out.
Be quiet.
In 1987, the Bucks took on the world and changed basketball for